Thursday. That's what my week looks like this Sunday afternoon. I hope you all are well, and it's good to touch base with a few of you and hear about it. I love watching Malia bake while we're doing this. P.S. She's rolling out some pie dough. If only we could all have a bite, Malia, when you're finished. I hope your November is going well. I look forward to this exercise that we're going to do together today. I know it's been helping me, so I hope it'll help you as well. But first, let's just get started with our practices. So I think, yeah, Leah's going to lead us off. Thanks, Leah.
Hey, everybody. So our first practice is the naming practice. I think most of us have met each other in here, but it's good to go over pronunciation, names, and it's always good to hear everybody's voice. So I'll call your name, go in the order that I see you on my screen. If you could say your name, your pronouns if you feel comfortable, and where you are joining us from. So I will go first. My name is Leah. I live in East Nashville, and my pronouns are she, her. Sarah?
My name is Sarah, and I'm in East Nashville, and my pronouns are she, her.
Melissa?
Melissa in Franklin, Tennessee, in Benny's office, which just is nice to be in a different room in the house. And my pronouns are she, her, her.
Great. Malia?
I'm Malia. I am in Brentwood, Tennessee, and she, her, hers.
Chris?
Hey everybody, Chris Hauser in Brentwood, he, him, Linda sends her love. She's been under the weather the last couple of days. So we are not getting into any on camera shenanigans together today.
Cindy?
Hi, Cindy, she, her, hers, Spring Hill, Tennessee.
Thank you. Alan?
Hi, I'm Alan, and my pronouns are no preference.
Nathan?
Hi, I'm Nathan, he, him in South Nashville.
Great. Doug?
Hello, Doug, Franklin, Tennessee, he, him, his.
JJ.
Hello, I'm JJ. I am in East Nashville, and he, him, his.
Great. Abby, are you here?
Yes, Abby Lane, she, her, her, currently in my car in East Nashville and soon to be my house in East Nashville.
Great. And Airmare, are you there? ¿Quieres presentarte? Okay.
Hola, ¿me escuchan? Hello, do you hear me? Genial. My name is Airmare, and I am from Lima, Peru.
Thanks, Airmare. So I think now I'm going to pass it to JJ.
Yes, you are. Hello, everybody. So good to see everyone. I have been traveling basically for 3 months. And so we are entering into our practice of Tell Me Something Good. And we'll sing the song, but I'm very happy that my good is that I'm here for a while. So that I'm very happy to be able to join and be here. And so, you know, one of my favorite things is us singing the song together. And so everybody who feels comfortable, if you could unmute your microphone, and we will all sing Tell Me Something Good together. I won't do an example this time because you all know how it goes. So I won't sing the solo. We're just singing it as a family here. So here we go. I'll count us down. Ready? 2, 3, 4.
Tell me something good.
Chris, I love the the fall off at the end there. So as you know, this is our opportunity to highlight and point to the good that is in the world around us that we are seeing and that we are experiencing. And so I will open it up. Does anybody have any goodness that's going on that they would love to share with everybody? Nathan.
Sure. So our kids were able to get their first dose of the vaccine, so we're really excited about that. Assuming everything goes as planned, they'll get their second dose in December and be able to go back to school in the spring, which we are super excited about. Everyone's excited about. So
I bet. Nice. Anybody else? Hauser.
So I enrolled in a course called "Oh God, What Do We Do Now?" with Trip Fuller, Brian McLaren, and Diana Butler Bass. That was reflections on Christianity in America since 9/11, in the 20-year anniversary. And all the sessions are on YouTube now. It doesn't cost any money, and they're all like hour to hour and a half basic podcasts with the interviews with the three of them, Q&A and stuff like that. And so I hit the last one today. Took me a while to get through it all. And Trip Fuller had this great thought about the two main things that Jesus said over and over again were follow me, not worship me, follow me and fear not. Follow me and fear not. And that's just really inspired me today. And even in the midst of the session, Diana Butler Bass was so angry about some things happening in her area and the church world in her area. And just to even see the transition for her through an hour and a half of coming to a place of dropping some of the fear and not being as afraid. And my gosh, there's so much to make me nervous about the future, and seeing people who I deem to be not good people getting away with murder and other things. And it's very, very frustrating and scary to me. But I'm compelled further today to follow in the ways of Christ and fear not. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Malia, I saw your hand go up.
Yes, so as many of you know, I opened up a home bake shop back in September, and a very major holiday is coming up next week, and I am basically fully booked on orders. I have 2 slots left, so feeling really happy about that. And if those slots don't get filled, I will be fine. But I was kind of nervous, I don't know, a week or so ago, that I wasn't gonna have as many orders as I was hoping to have. And but you know, just a little bit of patience and time, and everything all came together, which is why I'm making pie dough.
Yay. And I love it. Just being even creative on the creative time. So fun. Melissa.
Cece and I need a spot, first of all. So we take one of your last 2.
Okay, let's talk afterwards.
Great. Second of all, if you have, obviously no pressure, but we've been meaning to do that. Second of all, Ben and I went, are any of you familiar with Lindsay Nobles? Lindsay's a dear friend of ours, had worked with Ben over the years. Anyway, she's pregnant, about to have her baby. We went to a baby shower, and I ended up meeting this couple, Candy and Jonathan Shelton. So Candy now works at Onsite, which is the retreat center. Ben actually just went and did a retreat, like a powerful retreat there, with Candy, who writes a lot of their content. Anyways, we hit it off with them at this baby shower and planned on having a dinner. And we did the dinner last night. So when we left the baby shower, though, I was like, gosh, her name sounds so familiar. And I knew she was a singer, and they'd moved from Atlanta. Anyways, this is the Candy Shelton. For some of you, this will matter. She's the one that sang on North Point, all the huge worship records basically that came out of Atlanta. So like the version of You Are My King that was the most popular, it's Candy. And she ended up writing a ton of stuff that she didn't get a lot of credit for outside of, on the record it says she wrote it, but otherwise all the men took all the credit for everything. Anyway, she's a brilliant songwriter, and I sort of was laughing at how many songs of hers and versions that she had recreated of hymns and whatnot that we used back at Grace Point. So then we ended up having dinner with them last night, and they're in not the exact same place many of us are, but really close, and they're a lovely couple, and they were just like trying to figure out what does community look like on the other side of not being a part of organized religion anymore, and what does creating a better world look like. And then they're like, so tell me about Imaginarium. And so I started telling them, and they were just like, this is exactly what we need, this is what the world needs. And anyways, it was encouraging that this thing that we've all been efforting to continue to do these last 4 years is still needed, not just for the group of us that keep showing up, but for others that just need to be introduced to it and really long for a communal space to come together, just be able to lean into community and say, me too, and to learn and grow together. And so hopefully they'll be joining us in the near future, but it was really fun. So it was a good weekend, good connection and reminder.
Sarah.
Yeah, some of you heard this earlier, but my family is visiting for Thanksgiving, and that's really exciting for me. My sister and her family are all coming, and she hasn't been able to come down to Nashville very often, and so just to like share my life with her and to share my life with my family in a city that I love and thrive in, I think is really special. And so I'm very excited about that. So, and I'm excited for them to try Malia Spice. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it, love it. Anybody else? One of my other goods is I am loving this weather. I know for a lot of people it's not their favorite, but for me, it really is the changing of the season and seeing the yellow and red and orange everywhere and being a little chilly walking outside makes me so happy. So I'm absolutely loving this, and love hearing from all of you. And as a reminder, you know, this is a practice. We practice this here so that we can practice it elsewhere as well, that we continue to look for and point out the good and call out the good in others so that we can share the goodness that is going on in the world, not in spite of everything that's happening around us, but in light of it. We say there is a lot hard in the world, but we point to the good that we see. And so now I pass on to the next practice to Sarah.
So another practice we do is to acknowledge the land. At Imaginarium, we want to imagine new ways and become those new ways. And that's a start by acknowledging our land today. And so we acknowledge that we're on the land of the Shawnee and the Cherokee. And this is the beginning of healing ourselves and the land and reminding us that we belong to creation and we're all connected and that we all belong. So I second JJ and with the weather and the changes of the season, just really lean into that and to what your body, what your gut and all of your spirit is doing and listen to that, what comes up from that. So I'll pass it to Nathan.
All right. So I'm going to do the anti-racism acknowledgement, and because we as a community recognize that white supremacy and systemic racism are an insidious part of our society. We recognize the harmful impact of its presence in our lives and the impact it has on Asian American, Pacific Islander, Black, Indigenous, and people of color members of this community and other communities around us. We commit ourselves to an active practice of anti-racism. We commit to uprooting and addressing racism whenever and wherever we find it, starting within each of us and extending into our communities and the greater world around us. So I believe I am passing it to Hauser to run the Stop Breathe Know Your Worth.
Thank you. I also wanted to say real quick that this past week, a good friend of mine was in a Enneagram training seminar, and they did a land acknowledgement during that. And she just went on and on with me about this was so cool. And I said, oh yeah, we do that every time we meet with Imaginarium. She was like, what? It was cool to have that experience. Let's take a moment and just dial down if we can. If you're able to close your eyes, put your hands together so that each finger is touching the corresponding finger. Let's take a moment, take a deep breath in. Let it out. Take another deep breath. Let it out. We want to stop and acknowledge our worth and dignity, our inherent beauty, purpose and magic. As we tap each finger starting at the thumb and say out loud, stop, breathe, know your worth. Again, stop, breathe, know your worth. One more time. Stop, breathe, know your worth. Thanks.
Lovely, lovely, lovely all around. Thank you for every bit of that, and for every one of you for continuing to participate in all that we do. So heading into this holiday season, it's always, at least for me, typically a very hectic time. And because of that, I've been trying to get on top of things, not just things like to-do lists, but like on top of awareness of self and understanding how I can maintain balance in life, but definitely balance throughout a very hectic season. And so that's what we're focusing on then today, is ultimately balance. And understanding that we are energetic beings, and we, just as Chris had us focus our intention on our breath, breathing in and breathing out, we also exhale, we give out, we pour out energy, and then we breathe in, we take on, we pour back in energy. And I wanted us to pay attention to how and where we find that energy, how and where we give that energy, and what situations and people at times tend to take energy from us in a negative way. And so we're going to start off first by making a list. So this is not your drawing page, this is your list page, if you will. And I want us to start with the positive first, the pouring in, and you and I beginning to take note of and write down all the things that you, off the top of your head, that you know give you energy. So it can be small things. It can be, you know, every time I sit down and can light a candle and sit by the fireplace, you know, in my living room right now, that's like an energy giving moment. Every time I spend time with, you know, Ben, for the most part, that's an energy giving moment. So you're naming things, you're naming people, you're naming practices, you're naming actions that you know you do. Maybe if you sit down and get to have your coffee in the morning and read or meditate, that's an energy giving moment. I want you to list all the things that you know give you energy, all the things that you know pour back into your own life. So it can be people, it can be small things, or it can be large things. But let's start our list with that. I'm going to put on a little background music for us as we begin. going to give us another minute or two. It doesn't have to be an exhaustive list. It can just be the beginning. But I challenge you to have at least around 10 things, 10 different things that you know pour into your life. Okay, now I'm going to challenge us to move on to our next list. Your next list is a pouring out list. So this represents an exertion of energy. You are giving energy, but this is positive ways in which you do so. So we're just looking at positive ways of things that pour in energy to us. And this is how do you pour out energy in life-giving ways? So do you love the work that you do? Do you love when you show up and you're giving back in some way, maybe in a one-on-one conversation, when you have a friendship that is a shared energetically, meaning there's give and there's take there in a positive way. How are ways that you pour out your energy that are life-giving and uplifting? That's your next list.
Melissa, do you mean that are uplifting and life-giving for others or for me?
Yeah, for both. We're going to get to a list that's a life-sucking energy moment. So this is not that yet. This is a pouring out into others, into things, into time that's positive for you and for the receiving end, hopefully. But this is a positive side of the way you exert your energy. wanted to make sure y'all saw, Leah gave a great summarization of it. Your pouring out list is where do I give my energy to others, or I'll add to places, like to work, you could add in a way that's positively or mutually beneficial. Okay, so some of your pouring in, pouring out list may look like reciprocal, and that's a beautiful thing. You may have the same thing on both lists. For instance, like time with certain friends always pours into me and I'm still pouring out, but there's a mutual reciprocal thing happening there. Thank you, Leah. Give us another minute or two on this one. Okay, for your last list, this is what is a part of your regular rotation and schedule in life that takes energy. You feel depleted after time spent, be it in this certain aspect of your job, or maybe it's your job as a whole. When you spend time with certain people that are still a part of your circle, and yet when you leave that person or that time or that job, you feel depleted. Okay, there's nothing that feels positive or reciprocal about this list at all. So this is, where is energy being taken in a negative way? Okay. Let me turn this down for a second. Sleeping at last, instrumentals. Okay. Now on to the fun part where we get to be a little bit creative. Okay, so you have your sheet of paper. I'm gonna ask you in your top right-hand corner to just draw a little box in the top right-hand corner. It's gonna be like your key, if you will. And you're gonna put the 3 list titles. So pours in, pours out, or takes energy. And in that little key, this is your, your map key, if you will. I want you to pick 3 different colors that represent, one, a color that represents things that pour in to you, one, a color that represents pour out, and one that represents the taking of energy. And just mark a little circle or underline it, or however you want to creatively show that these colors represent that list. And if you want to get more creative, you can really have shades of those colors to when you're going to fill in your list in a second. Or you can just stick to simple 3 colors. Your color keys in your top right hand corner. Then in the center of your page, I'm going to ask that you draw something, and it can be as simple as a circle or a diamond shape or a star, or you can draw the outline of a person that's representing your person, but there needs to be the negative space in the middle. So it's just an outline of you, or it can be a circle or a diamond or a star with the negative space in the center. So start with that.
How large?
Large. I mean, it's you're gonna mark. I would take up like the middle chunk of your page with that.
Okay.
This is a really hard test.
I give you options of star, circle, diamond. You don't have to draw a person. Now, once you have that done, I want you to start drawing arrows, and your pouring in arrow is going to be just the line with the triangle pointing in, right? So the line of the triangle pointing in is your pouring in arrow. Your pouring out arrow is the line first with the arrow pointing out. You're taking energy though. You start with the triangles and the line goes out from there. Does that make sense? So if you look up at my screen, this is your taking. Your taking energy is the triangles start, and it's moving away from you out into the energy of the world around you. But this is the taking. So this would be your color of taking. Otherwise, pouring in, the arrows are coming into your person, into your shape that symbolizes you, and you're pouring out starts the line, because these are the healthy ones, right? The in and out. And the negative things are here. And so you can either draw a line with your arrow in the proper place, and then you could write what that represents, or you could just have the lines and show how much you have pouring in, how much you have pouring out that you can recognize right now, and how many arrows are in the taking of energy. Make sense?
On the outside of the shape or the inside of the shape?
I would say it's either starting inside you, all the lines, either the arrow's gonna, the pouring in, the arrow will be inside you and the line's gonna be out, right? Inside your shape. The pouring out and the taking out are gonna start inside you, moving out of your shape. Make sense? And there's no real right or wrong here. It's just for us basically to have an awareness and analysis of what pouring in and out and taking energy looks like right now in your life, and how we ultimately try to balance this if it's not balanced enough right now. I'm gonna put my music back on and let us get creative for a few moments, and then we can sort of share where we're at. Or show our pictures, or not, Doug.
Hey, Doug, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. I'm actually kidding. I'm very much.
There's absolutely no way anybody's seeing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you.
Y'all, you are funny. Some people still look like they're coloring, so I'll give it a few more minutes. Okay, so with or without showing anyone what you're drawing, the point is not to have some masterpiece, you know, of art. Some of you might have that, which is lovely, but it's more about giving us a visual representation, right, of what life is feeling like right now, and paying attention to where our energy is going and why. So my first question to us is, what do you feel balanced right now? Do your arrows feel about equal? Do you have way more taking energy arrows than you want to have on your list? Or do you feel pretty good about how you're doing? And it can be as simple like, yes, my life looks balanced, or you can divulge more for us. But I would love, just for as many of you that will be willing, to just give us a brief overview. What's balance looking like right now for you? And this can just be unmute as you want to share. Again, it can simply be, it's looking real good, or it's not looking great at all, and now I see it. Or you can divulge more.
I think for me, what was interesting that I didn't expect. So I think in this season, I'm feeling very depleted and very tired. But when I actually made the list, the amount of like things that were giving me energy and the positive energy, like mutually beneficial, were way high. And then the depleted was actually really small list. And it feels like that. So mine is not colorful. So, but I made kind of like, I made the heart kind of things, but the depleted ones were the ones that are actually like huge and feel overwhelming. And it was just really interesting to me. So there's lots going in and out, and even kind of some circles in the middle where they're the mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
But like the list of things that's actually depleting me in this moment is pretty short. And yet for some reason, I feel very depleted. And so it's kind of, that was a little eye-opening to me to kind of go, oh, and some of those are things that I actually have control over, that I've chosen to give control over to somebody else or something else, even if it's my own attitude. And so that was just kind of I was expecting my depleted list to be way bigger and it just wasn't. But so that, I don't know, I'm kind of processing that right now of like, why do I feel so low energy when in reality, there's so many things in my life that are giving me energy and that I'm getting mutual beneficial energy from. So
I so resonate with that, JJ, and I actually feel the same. My take was the red. And so there's three main things that are the taking of energy, and yet it feels so big. And so as you said that, and I'm processing it, I'm wondering if anybody else would speak into this. It could be that the mutual things, like we're keeping track of, like the pouring in and pouring out, a lot is happening, give and take in a beautiful way. But then when these things, big or small, start sucking life out of us, you know, we don't have anything left to give there, not because we're not pouring into ourselves or pouring out in healthy ways, but because the things that are sucking the energy ultimately shouldn't be a part of our consistent lives, right? And so what do we do with that? And how do we not just be aware of it, but shift something out of it? So I resonate fully, and that's my quick processing with you, at least for me, how that feels. Anybody else want to share? You feel balanced right now? You feel a little out of balance? Were you pretty aware of how you would feel as you look at your colorful depiction of life right now? Was it surprising or not?
I think something I think about is the things that take energy from me. It's just going to be a process for them to not take energy from me. And so like, I'm on this journey of like removing those things, but it's not like, oh, I can just cut you out and it's over. And so just being aware and having patience with myself, because I really, really want those things to be not on taking energy from me, because it's a big part of my little thing here. So those things. So I think I'm processing that. Like, where am I at in that journey of removing those things if I can, and also shifting my mindset a little bit around that too.
That's great. I appreciate that, Sarah. And I think it should be said again, like the things that take energy from us, they're often not easy, quick fixes. They're not just quick write-outs. Let me get rid of this person or that job or that thing that I do that I don't feel good doing. It is a process. So I appreciate you saying that. Hauser, you look like you want to share.
Oh, I don't, but okay. When teacher calls me, then I need to, I'm like, whoa, okay. One thing I'll say is, how is this, I was messing around with the markers. And so I was not paying attention to the directions on what you were directing us on the artwork. And so my art is so crappy compared. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, it's misinformed. And I'm like, okay, how is this like my life? Where I'm doing something else when I really should be quiet, stop, breathe, know your worth, paying attention to directions. But I've got lots to talk about with my therapist in the morning. This is really, really helpful. And I guess I would say too, I feel pretty balanced. There have been plenty of other times in my life where I'm very, very drained and feel like there's a lot of energy suck happening in my life. And I would say I'm in a pretty healthy place at the moment where not much is taking the energy out of me.
I appreciate your honesty too, Chris Hauser.
Of course. Okay, I'll show you. It's so bad. Look at that. It's two triangles and arrows. Isn't that horrible? Oh, and then the other side of it. Whoa, isn't that beautiful?
Listen, you did great. You participated. That's what matters.
Yeah.
I do think you brought up something funny that I've thought about before. Often together, it is almost like we're without intending to be, but we end up in a group therapy type moment. And sometimes our exercises and our conversations do bring stuff up for us that we will not solve here together. But if you don't have a therapist, as Chris does, to go to tomorrow to talk through things, and you are still dealing or feeling with big feelings when you leave this hour, please always reach out, because we could point you to people that you can discuss these things with, that are trained to do so, right? But I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. Anybody else? How does your picture depict what feels balanced or unbalanced in life right now?
I did not make my arrows big and vary the size. Everything was the same size. But when I look at the quantity, it's very balanced, right? It's, you know, it's this kind of a similar number. But yeah, the things that are sucking life right now are enormous, and a lot of them are just sort of like, it'll take time to get past them. So some of them are relational with people that I work with. Some of them are like, our dog is annoying, and other things are you know, things that are bad right now, like having to have a nanny and the kids not being in school and our house still having not closed yet and things like that. But then other things are, you know, so I feel like we're making progress on those things, but for right now, they're continuing to sort of suck life. So
that's good. Thank you for that reminder. Yeah, I think too, again, what's coming up with a lot of us, for me, the red, right? The taking energy, it was red for me. They're by no means anywhere near as much as the give and pour in, pour out, right? But they do feel so large in the midst. And so doing a practice like this is sometimes a really lovely reminder, much like us doing Tell Me Something Good every time we're together. It's like, no, that there are good, beautiful things happening in life. And that's not to ignore the things that are sucking life from us, but it is to also pay attention that, just like when you hear negative critique after you've done something, you know, all the positive, you could have had 20 positive things, and then the one negative thing tends to be what we harp on, right? It feels the biggest and the largest. And to be reminded, though, of the other is sometimes just a good practice in and of itself, to get back and get recentered and understand that you are more balanced than you realized, right? So this is an exercise for that. Anybody else? Abby, you have anything you might want to share? Any wisdom?
Hey, the universe literally just told me you were going to say my name. Well, I don't have pencils because I was late, so I don't have a color thing. But I did just write a note about sort of what my response was to my own list, which was, if I would have done this 3 years ago, it would have been a very imbalanced picture. And the things that I did then as pouring in were more for survival mode. And now they are the elements of my life that bring me joy just for the sake of joy. And I think in the past, I would have said that those things allowed me to be invisible. And now they're the things that, or the ways that I see how I'm connected, and that they promote my wholeness by allowing myself to do those things. And in the vein of it not being a quick fix, I think that's very much been my experience of being intentional about some things in the last several years. And that, as Martha Beck, one of my favorite authors, says, it's a 1 degree turn towards the next right thing for you. And so a lot of times I think it is kind of the moment I'm having now, where you look back and go, oh, wow, like I cleaned up a bunch of stuff. And now I can recognize much more easily what is sucking my energy versus what is not, because the pendulum has shifted more towards most things being a pouring in. And so that it becomes really easy to spot, like, and there's the weak link over there. That's where my hole is.
I love it. Thank you. I knew you'd offer us some wisdom. Alan, yeah.
Okay, so my situation is that I have so much energy pouring out at this moment. I'm pouring it into friends. I'm pouring it into, practice because I want to do a good job and I want to be my best self for this acapella course I'm trying to get into. And I'm trying. My energy is going so many different places. So when the negative energy comes, I'm already pouring out so much energy that it doesn't take much for it to zap the energy. So then I get really tired and depleted and everything. And so I was making my list of what gives me energy, and it was easy to write down the things I love, but then I got to thinking about how much I don't do those things that give me energy. After I've experienced the negative energy or poured out, I don't do the stuff to wind down so that I can recharge. And that's exactly what my life coach is working with me on, is like how much energy to invest in this, and then wind down a little bit, drink some coffee, read a novel, sing a little bit, do something. Actually do something other than singing is what she said, because that's what I do a lot of. So, because she said that's good, it gives you energy, but it takes energy too because you're practicing a lot. It's not just riding around singing your favorite songs on the radio. It's actually work sometimes. And so for me, it's just taking that moment to do my self meditations and my cooking, sitting on my front porch, just the things that give me energy. So, yeah. Yes.
I love that, Alan. I also want you to know that you are on my positive pouring out list. Alan and I spend an hour together basically every other week doing a voice performance lesson, and it's a reciprocal time, Alan. So I want you to know that you're on my list. So grateful for our time. Yeah, he's reminding us though, y'all, just that the pouring in list, which all of us came out of, or many of us at least, came out of backgrounds that were like, don't focus on you, don't not too much focus on self. And it's like, hell no, take time for you to pour into you. Malia posted I forget who it was that you reposted, but it was something after Halloween that I love, Malia, something like, you don't need an excuse, or you don't have to say that you need a treat to eat chocolate. Like, you can just eat chocolate because you want to, because you can eat sweets just, not because you did something good, just because you deserve it. So make sure that you're pouring in lists. Not only you have it, but we're doing it because we need it. I love it, Alan. Thanks. Anybody else want to share? Yeah, Malia.
I have to keep touching my screen to find the unmute button. So I have a unique thing where there's something that occurred on all three lists. And it's something I've actually been like struggling with lately, and it's the baking. Like, the baking is my life. I love it. It brings me so much joy. But I'll tell you all, Friday night, I had Robin and Aaron were celebrating like a combined Thanksgiving, Christmas, and they were having several people over. So Robin had placed a very large order that I spent 3 days pulling together. And then I finally got it to them Friday evening, and I came home and I was just done, literally no energy. It was just so the baking and everything that I love also depletes, physically, so much energy, and even like mentally too, because there's a lot of, am I doing this right? And are they going to like it? And all that too. So it's interesting. It's an interesting, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but yeah, it's on all three lists. And I guess it's one of those things that it is what it is.
No, I think it's, you and Alan both bring it up. So even like for him, music, this thing that brings him so much joy to sing, can become a task at some point, and then can become depleting of energy. Maybe my challenge would be to pay attention on when it feels good, when it feels like the giving back is good and when it starts to feel like it's depleting, and paying attention to what's happening around those times maybe. That's my only thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. I mean, I get it. I totally understand it. Anybody else want to comment or feel like, oh yeah, I've been there too? We have some nodding heads, at least, Malia. They feel you. Anybody else who hasn't shared want to share anything based off of what they became aware of, or maybe even what you feel led to do with this now that you see it, what you want to do with it?
I did see a meme this afternoon that kind of goes to Malia's post right after Halloween, I guess. And here's what it says. I don't know who needs to hear this, but rest is not a reward. Mm-hmm. You don't have to earn rest. You need rest. You deserve rest. You are worthy of rest simply because you are a living being. Don't ever feel guilty for taking time to rest.
Mm. Love it. What a beautiful reminder. All right, y'all. So I think the challenge, at least for me, is to keep paying attention to ways that I make sure that I'm taking care of me and pouring back into me, like my green arrows or what are pouring in. So making sure that those become not just part of my schedule, because my schedule can fill up, but like I prioritize those things into my schedule. And then understanding that the pouring out, that's the ways that you and I are giving back to creating ultimately a better world in really small and big ways. So pay attention to those ways, champion those ways, make sure that you're finding a balance in those ways. And then for the things that end up on our taking energy, what do we do with it? You and I have such agency and control over our lives. And it's often, as Sarah said earlier, I think, or JJ, like not a quick fix. It's not going to be a quick cutout, but to really pay attention to what you can control there, so that we can set up healthy boundaries and continue to live healthy, balanced lives, which is the goal. So we understand our own magic, our connection to each other, and can lean further into our responsibilities to create a better world. Okay, I've loved this. I hope you enjoyed it. Even for those of you that didn't share, I hope you got something out of it. You can frame your masterful art and put it up on your refrigerator or somewhere to be a reminder, hopefully, of what you and I need to do. So grateful for you. We will have an email coming out tomorrow. The soul content, Malia, it's coming to you. Ermer, it was so good to see Ermer. He hasn't been on in a while, so we're really glad you could join us, Ermer. We will look forward to your artwork. Ermer is a great artist, so we do want to see that. But looking forward to finding ways we can get together in December. I do want you to know that we are going to have our Christmas Carol sing-along. We cannot have Winter Song. It doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, sadness and breaks my heart, but financially for us to do that this year, in light of, us not being able to meet together in person yet, but that will happen again in the future. But we will do our Carol sing along and have a gathering. We are doing our winter coat project. Sarah actually and I are getting details about that. So that will kick off in another week, and just really grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know what you need and how we can support you in the meantime. If you have a glass, raise it. Unless anyone else has anything else they want to add, we may be forgetting. But here's our challenge. May we be open to give and to receive, as well as be open to be willing to set up boundaries and give ourselves permission to say no to all that takes from us, because we deserve it. Cheers. Oh, thanks for that compliment, Sarah. There's my nails. All right. Love y'all so much. I hope you have a lovely week, and we will talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.